Hi, my name is José del Cueto. I am the founder and president of a data-driven marketing company called DMG Solutions. I have been extremely fortunate in my life. I'm one of those extremely lucky people. My career has been primarily in Spanish media, Spanish language media. I was very fortunate to get into the Spanish language television world when it was really being formed, and became an integral part of the management team on both large Spanish networks in the United States, Univision and then later Telemundo. And after that, for the last 25 years, I have actually run my own firm and been very, very lucky to get amazing international clients, national clients, that we do all the media buying, media planning. And in this day and age, that media stuff is really all data-driven, digital work. First, I'd like to thank ASPIKA for giving all of us that are different, a voice. And because truth being said is that we go through a lifetime with certain models, certain little boxes that we try to fit into. And if you by any chance don't fit into that box, you feel different. You sound different, you look different, you act different, and up until now there really hasn't been a place that we can all be ourselves and be who we are, knowing that actually being different is a good thing. The question is, so how do we get here? Why am I here? And I'd like to tell you kind of a little story about how a 59-year-old man at the pinnacle of his life, basically after having had a stellar career, after having achieved everything that society tells you is a success, the cars and the houses and the boats and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, all of that, I found something extremely unusual, which was 6 years ago. I found that at the pinnacle of my life, the more I got, the more miserable I felt. Now, talk about strange and talk about different. That was very strange. That's not supposed to happen. When you have everything that they've told you, work really hard, be really successful, and that's it. You made it in life. Well, somehow something was going on in my life that at age 59, I felt miserable. Well, what do you do when you feel miserable? You take a look at what's going on. What's happening inside me? And that led me to do an extremely unusual thing. I basically uplifted my whole life. I sold everything I had, and I went to live in a little college town in northern Florida called Gainesville, Florida, where I went to live when I went to go back to the University of Florida. At first, I enlisted to become a student. Now imagine that, a 59-year-old with a backpack in his back, riding a bicycle, a grown-up man sitting next to a 19-year-old in a class of the very field that I had excelled in. I was getting my bachelor's degree in advertising when I already had a 30-year career in advertising. Why? Why was I doing that? Well, there was unfinished business. I didn't graduate from the University of Florida, and I figured that maybe some of that discomfort, maybe some of that pain that I was feeling was due to the fact that I had unfinished business in my life. So I went to Gainesville to try to become a student. Well, that was a good thought, except one thing happened along the way. So I enlisted as a student at 59 years of age, and I started having trouble with some of my classes, particularly math, particularly a statistics course, and then a course in creative writing, but it was really about a journalism course, so it was all about fine details in writing. The other two classes I was doing great, getting straight A's. These two classes I was struggling with. And while being at the University of Florida, to the advice of some of my colleagues, because I was also teaching while I was at the University of Florida, teaching advertising and teaching data, they actually asked me if I wanted to get tested for learning disabilities. I said, really? You have to be kidding me. Me learning disabilities? Why? Well, some of the things you're showing could be part of something bigger going on. Meaning, I was inverting numbers, I was inverting words. I was struggling with certain basic concepts that the other students weren't. So being the largest university and the research university in Florida, at University of Florida, they have a lot of testing in basically brain wiring, how information gets processed in the brain. Some of the world's largest experts are in the University of Florida. So here I was at age 59, basically as a guinea pig in the perfect place to get tested for neurological disorders or neurological unusual behavior. To my complete surprise, and I must admit, kind of bummed out at first, they tested me for hours on end, and at the end of that came what I would call an awful report card of my personal neurology, meaning I had ADHD that was off the chart. As a matter of fact, some of the first scientists that laid hands on me said they had never seen a score that perfect of almost perfect ADHD. If there's, scoring 100 means you're full on ADHD, I had 100. Then something that I never knew about, which was I was also dyslexic. Something I found out that ADHD often travels with little partners, with little traveling companions. Well, dyslexia was right up there. I was testing really high on dyslexia. To boot, as if that wasn't bad enough, they tested my motor skills and found that my horrific handwriting was connected to all the other two. The reason I had dysgraphia, the reason I could not even understand my handwriting was that my motor skills of my hand were disconnected to my motor skills of my thinking. I was possibly thinking faster than I could actually write, or I was thinking differently than actually my hand was perceiving, so I couldn't understand my notes. I could go to class, take notes, and then come home and not understand a thing. And it was very unusual, and it was also very disheartening. As a matter of fact, part of the test was what percentage of words given on a piece of paper was I able to, I use the word regurgitate back, because it's basically, how many words can you call back? I just gave you 100 words. If I asked you to recite those 100 words back to me, how many did you remember? How many did you learn? And I could only recall 28%. That was devastating. It was devastating to me because that meant I was doomed. I could never pursue a conventional college career where it's all about reading, regurgitating, reading, regurgitating. If I can only regurgitate 28% back of everything I've read, I'm going to fail every single time. And on top of that, I transpose letters and numbers, and on top of that, I can't even read my own notes. That was that. But hold on, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. As they're doing the auditory testing on me, they found out that I actually can remember 180% of what was presented to me. I said, well, wait, there's only 100% and 100%. They said, yeah, but you auditively, you were telling us about stuff that was just happening around the room, not just the stuff that we were showing you. I said, my God, I'm a freaking bat. So while I have these learning disabilities on the front end of learning through reading, no, I learn through listening. I actually listen. At that moment, I said, okay, there's something interesting going on here. What the university is labeling as my disabilities, now it shows up that I have super abilities. You go, wait, what? Yeah, I record. I don't have photographic memory. I have one level up. I have videographic memory. I can actually play back the movie with sound, smells, colors. That's how my memory works, because I've had to adapt in terms of learning that I actually recall the whole scene. If I go to a meeting, I don't just remember the meeting and some of the words that were said and the gist of the meeting. No, I remember the smell of the plate of the table next to us and what they were ordering on top of everything else that was going on. Ain't that something? So that led me to say, well, but wait a minute, if I did not know that I was broken, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I've had this stellar career and I never knew I was broken? No, I did not know I was broken. I said, but hold on, something else is happening here. Why? Why am I broken? What caused this? Was I just born with this? Is this something that came, like they say, they came with, is this a factory defect? Well, while at Gainesville, 6 years ago, I also began a social journey. And what that means is I was basically a big fish living in a little town. And what I ended up doing is I ended up trying to join some community efforts. And really for no particular reason, I actually found the foster care system. And you go, why? And honest to God, truth is, I don't know. And the people that ran the foster care system in northern Florida seemed really nice. And they needed board members. So I said, okay, I'll volunteer to be a board of directors member of the foster care system at the University of Florida. Now, let me digress by just giving you a quick snippet as to what foster care is. Foster care is really a very complicated situation in the life of a minor. In the United States and in the state of Florida, when a minor has endured abuse and or neglect that is so noticeable that the Department of Children and Families of the United States recognizes it. In essence, you are extracted from your home. You're taken out of your home. You no longer live there. You're being abused, you're being neglected. And then in comes in what they call the foster care, the child welfare system. So I was on the board of the child welfare system. Didn't particularly know anybody in the child welfare system, didn't know any children. Just literally as an observer, as a board member. Well, to my surprise, a few months later, a few months into this adventure of first learning and now trying to go to college while knowing I have these handicaps but also these super abilities, and now serving on the board of the foster care system in Florida, all of a sudden somebody passes us a test, an actual test that is being given to the children and the families that are entering the foster care system. And that test is called the ACE test. ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And it's a really simple 10-question yes or no answers test. Now here's where it gets super interesting. The ACE test is a test that was invented 25 years ago by the Center for Disease Control and by the Kaiser Foundation in California. And what it does is it actually connects what has happened to you in your childhood to your health in your adult life. And you go, why would this have anything to do with you? Well, mental health is also part of it. So, meaning if you had a complicated childhood, there's very high likelihood that you're going to have certain mental disorders, mental health disorders, definitely health disorders, health like diabetes, like cancer, et cetera, Well, lo and behold, of course, I took the test myself. Not really knowing where this was going. I said, I'm gonna find out. I did have a difficult childhood. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna take my ACE test. And to my surprise, my ACE scores, basically my adverse childhood experience scores, were off the chart. Off the chart meaning I should be dead. I shouldn't even be alive, much less thriving. So I say, wait a minute, again, what's going on here? When I'm talking to the higher-ups, and I must make the kind of the parenthesis of saying, how lucky can I be? Because remember, all this is taking place when I'm 59, I'm 60 years old, I'm basically a self-made man. I have access to the higher-ups. I'm on the board of directors of the foster care system. I am a teacher and a student at the University of Florida. I get to talk to the higher-ups because I'm one of them. That's where they make a super interesting connection for me, and they go, Joe, can you trace back your grade point average through your life? Meaning, were you always bad at school? And that's where this whole thing came landing, and that's why I'm in this chair today. And I'm so happy that I can share my story. The answer is no, I wasn't always a bad student. As a matter of fact, I can actually trace back when I started becoming a bad student, and it's directly connected to my levels of trauma. Meaning, the worse my childhood got, the more abuse I received, the worse my grades got. And I actually was very fortunate to find a scientist in Gainesville, in the University of Florida, who actually showed me the neurological connection. They said, Joe, your learning centers in your brain were getting dulled while you were young. As you were, when you are under such fire, your brain goes into fight or flight, and it had to run. It didn't have an opportunity to learn. You didn't inherit. These things didn't come along when you were born. That led me to, in essence, writing a book about my life and my life story. My book is called Broken Like Everybody Else, because at the end, sure, I was devastated that I was broken. But to my not so surprise, we all are a little broken. And once I started laying out my life story and I started promoting my book and promoting my social media pages, it has been a very interesting ride of finding out how people from all over the world, every corner of this earth, we have people that are coming out and telling us, thanking us, telling us that it's good to hear that there are other broken ones out there. In parting words, I really want to thank ASPIKA and for everything it stands for, because it's giving us a voice. All of us, neurodivergent people around the world, it's important for all of us to know that it's us. We are the special people. We're not just the broken people, we're the special people. And as a matter of fact, it's just a matter of finding your fit and having them discover us, not the other way around. You don't need to hide and shame in any way, shape, or form. Have them figure out, oh my God, what did I just get? Who is this pearl of a human being that just landed on my lap? Think of yourself as a pearl. Think of yourself, something that I use a lot, as a Japanese bowl. Sure, we have cracks. We all do, by the way. But you know what they do with Japanese bowl? They fill the cracks with gold, and they become the most beautiful objects in the world. First and foremost, have some compassion for yourself. Don't push yourself. Don't blame yourself for anything that has no blame. As a matter of fact, celebrate. Celebrate that you're different. Celebrate and know that you have super abilities. Thank you, ASPIKA. Again, we need a platform. We need a place where all of us have a voice. This stuff can't keep in a closet anymore. It's time.